I'm back, y'all. Do y'all know what time it is? Do y'all know why I'm so excited? I mean, you probably already do because I'm pretty sure I put it in the caption of the video, but it is pre-release thoughts time, and I am so glad to be done with this book because Eva and Luke have absolutely stressed me out, and so yeah, we're glad to be done with this one. So I've got my cute little honey branch wine glass, and I was supposed to have my little glass of something something for when I type the end, but I live in a dry county, y'all, and I'm also supposed to be watching my sugar intake and not really drinking many calories. So this is actually kombucha. This is actually watermelon rose kombucha. I had more and then I spilled it. Yeah, we had a little bit of an accident, but I still, at least I got a little something to put in my cup. So this is from my wall over there, right above that I'm just saying poster. Or poster is not at all the right the right word. But I had that up there, a printout of the cover, as something to kind of use for like inspiration and etc when I was feeling stuck, just so that I have something visual from the book to look at. And I also wear that I'm just saying sign I guess is there used to be this, and I had to take that down because this was never for like public to see. This was for me, like this was my motivation of, okay, get it finished by this date, you know. But then I film in this area, and so it was in one of the videos and so I was like, ooh, gotta take that down. And so now that's down, but it is February the 7th and the book is finished, and I am quite excited by that because, like I said in the previous clip, Luke and Eva have thoroughly stressed me out, and let me tell you why. So I definitely overstated that. I'm not going to be I'm not going to be really telling why, because this is an unpublished project, and so of course I don't want to give too many spoilers, but I do want to say that if you read the Sugar Valley, if you read the first Sugar Valley book, if you read Culmination of Everything, you know that there is kind of a darkness to it. Just definitely levity and all of that there, just because of the setting and the characters, but there's definitely it could potentially be triggering. I'll say it like that. I will put a general trigger warning on this book, especially if you are someone who is potentially dealing with illness or death of loved ones, or if you know, if you're going through grief or something like that. I would definitely say just to take care of yourself and possibly put this one on hold if you know, if you don't feel, just if you don't feel mentally and emotionally ready to tackle something with those themes right now, I would definitely caution you when stepping into this. Just take care of yourself, and if it feels, you know, like you need to put it down, definitely do that. I realize that I'm probably making this sound really terrifying, but just based on the feedback that I got from my betas, I did give my betas, I definitely gave my betas a little bit of a trigger warning, I guess, before they embarked on this as well. I think, yeah, I remember. I was gonna say, did I? Like, I know I thought about it, but yeah, I definitely did, because I remember their responses to it, and they agreed. I heard from, you know, I heard from several of them that they, you know, that they appreciated that I had given them that warning ahead of time so that they could opt in, which I think is important. I think that sometimes we, I feel like, how do I say this? I feel like in 2020, you know, in current times, I feel like indies especially are expected to explain our books a lot, as disclaim our books a lot, like, you know, you gotta, this is short, or this is a cliffhanger. Like, we have to give a lot of warnings up front about the project, and I think that a lot of those warnings are ridiculous, because it wasn't something, because it's just not something that I was ever used to, you know, as a reader before now. But when it comes to trigger warnings, I definitely, you know, I believe in those. And if I'm, you know, when I'm writing something that, you know, could potentially have that type of content, I do like to try to give a warning. And so definitely, definitely just take care of yourself, and just, you know, step into this one with caution if you're someone who could potentially be negatively affected by those type of things. Give me a second. Okay. Okay. So you may or may not have heard me speak before about how this project is a really long time in the making. And I went back and I looked and I saw where I had made like a cover when the name of this book was going to be You Had Me at Pinot. And it was going to be just this, like very much a rom-com, you know, type of vibe to it. Um, and that was just what I thought it was going to be. But sometimes, what will happen to me, what happens to me often actually, as I'm talking through it, I'm realizing that I'll get an idea and I'll start on it. Like, I'll try to start on it, and it'll just feel half baked. It'll just feel like, you know, this isn't quite it. And the point of it all is one of those projects. It's definitely one of those projects that I picked up and put down several times over the years. I want to say that this one has been, I really can't remember when I first like had the idea, but it's been at least, like, at the very least 3 years in the making, because I have the documents and I have the manuscripts and, you know, the image files where I had done like a mock-up wine bottle. And I actually recreated that for one of the promos for this book. But yeah, like, it was on my mind, but it still needed to kind of marinate. And I was honestly a little concerned about doing this project, because I just wrote a project that followed, you know, the spirit making business or whatever. When I wrote Equivalent Exchange, if you've read Equivalent Exchange, you know that Lakin, the hero, he owns a brewery, and that was just kind of his dream. He had this family legacy of spirit making, and he wanted to put his own spin on it. And there was some talk about the process, and, you know, they went out to the field to go see the hops, and it was just like a little concerning for me to make sure that there was definitely a strong differentiation between the two projects, because that project also deals with grief. Again, that's a more recent project, and so I'm a little leery of giving too many spoilers for that project, but there was definitely a quite heavy element of grief in that project as well. And I wanted to be careful to make sure that these that even with the parallels that the projects do have, they do still feel significantly unique. Like, they feel that, like, each feels like its own project. And not just Equivalent Exchange. This project actually has some parallels with Inevitable Seductions, which was Steph and Nubia Perry, Steph Foster and Nubia Perry. Steph was not a Perry. But there are some parallels there. Again, no spoilers. Inevitable Seductions actually just this week came out in audio. If you've not read that project, or if you've not listened to that project, that whole series is going to be available in audio. But some parallels there. Nubia gets mentioned in this project, but she doesn't make any appearances, but she does have a mention in the project, just to kind of give that little nod to her there. Speaking of, you know, as I've been talking about in my backlist videos, just making those different connections between the characters. But this one was a little rough for me personally. Not necessarily because of kind of the main, well, I'm sorry, I'm being all over the place. But one of the main, like, kind of aspects of this story, or the main focuses of this story, is making sure that you're living in a way that that feels good for you, that you don't living in a way that you don't have a lot of regrets, living in a way that you don't feel stagnant, and that you don't, end up wishing, man, I wish I would have had the chance to do this, or I wish I would have done that, or just living with those regrets. And that's something that has been on my mind heavily lately, especially just with, the habit thing that I've been trying to. I've not been great with those habits, but all of it has still definitely been heavily on my mind. And so, just as Eva kind of goes through this journey of figuring herself out and figuring out what she really wants her life to look like, a lot of the conversations and things that she has with regard to that really kind of weighed heavily on me. But I mean, I managed. I managed. And there's definitely other, heavier elements that I don't necessarily relate to, but were tough to write and emotional to write and emotional to try to get right and try to really do justice to the people who can relate to those topics. And so, yeah, it was a lot. I kind of jokingly said to my friends that I was not going to have any type of like official discussion about this book, because I can tell you guys now that you're gonna have, well, there's gonna be a lot to say about this one. There's gonna be a lot to say. There's gonna be a lot of very strong opinions, and I don't want to go back and forth about it. Like, the characters did what they did, and they felt how they felt, and their actions were what they were, and the story was what it was. And so I was joking when I said it, but I might have to be convinced to participate in like a book chat about it. But I absolutely encourage you to buddy read this one. I think it would be really, really fun for that. Like, just hand of God, I think that it would be really, really fun for that, for something like that. If you are an audiobook person, this book, I have already, signed the deal or whatever for this to be an audio, just like Culmination of Everything. Culmination of Everything comes out on the 5th of March, I believe. It comes out in audio, read by Sean Kristen and Wesley Siobhan, both of who I adore as narrators. So I'm really, really excited for that. I'm trying to think of anything else that I have not covered about the book, because yeah, I really, so much is a spoiler. So much for this book is a spoiler, and so I'm really trying to just like keep it together and keep it cool and not give everything away before it comes out. But I'm excited, and I'm really, I feel really, really good about it. I'm very, very happy with how it turned out, and how just the goals that I had for this book were definitely to just make sure that I told the characters' stories and make sure that that everybody got the depth and attention and care that they needed. And I think I did that. And so I'm really, really excited to, to present it to the world. And yeah, I think that's it. So y'all know I like to ramble, so I'm gonna go ahead and let this go, and we're gonna see. It'll be out soon. It's not. It'll be soon. Definitely, within the next couple of days. But we'll see.